Hi, my name is Korame. In this video, we talk about how Disc is on the rise and becoming meta over Resto Shaman. So before 1105, the meta was definitely looking to be something like maybe Prot Warrior or Bear Druid and Resto Shaman. Resto Shaman brought a lot of kicks, stops, ancestral vigor, as well as undulation, increasing your HP. Looked really promising for being able to live some of the bigger damage hits that were happening with Mythic Plus. They had really good on-demand healing. The only kind of thing that felt a little bit weak about them for sure was their mana, but it felt pretty easy to play around. Now, going into 1105 and even a little bit before 1105, you started seeing some top players starting to switch to Disc Priest, and then after 1105 came out, you saw even more switching to Disc Priest, and this video is going to be talking about what caused this meta shift, because if you remember those 1105 notes, nothing really happened that made Resto Shaman any weaker. The only change was really the Poison Cleansing Totem, and they even got some other talent points that could be viable in Mythic Plus with their Chain Heal and make them a little bit easier to play, or really give you some flexibility. Not everyone is really playing those. But the main thing that was a contributing factor was actually the tank changes. With 1105, Prot Paladin has become the meta. It has so many stops and it has great utility to help out your group. This is really important, and this is why the healer meta was able to shift, because this is what enables Disc Priest to be in the group. So before 1105, Disc Priest was already doing way more damage and healing than Resto Shaman was bringing. If you had the opportunity to play Disc Priest, it actually feels really good for being able to heal through the burst healing scenarios, and also you have no mana problems. But the biggest thing is, of course, it has no kick, and its only stop is a 1 minute cooldown on Fear, which is literally an eighth of what Resto Shaman brings. The thing that allows you to play Disc Priest is that Prot Paladin has the extra kicks and stops and utility, and Enhancement Shaman. So Enhancement Shaman was already being used before 1105. It wasn't really clear what the DPS meta was going to be, but everyone is kind of stuck on the idea it is Prot Paladin, Enhancement Shaman, Augmentation Invoker, Disc Priest, +1. That one right now could be DK, but also some people are saying it could be Moonkin, just depends on Moonkin could live. I'm getting a little bit off topic. But the idea is that since you have Enhancement Shaman, which basically makes some of the Resto Shaman utility redundant, obviously having even more stops is better and does enable you to pull bigger, but it does make it a little bit redundant, and the Prot Paladin is what is actually allowing you to bring the Disc Priest. And Disc Priest was already better with healing and damage. They got some small buffs, though honestly those buffs are not a primary source of their healing inside of Mythic Plus. A little bit about what is making Disc so powerful right now. So Disc right now is actually super simple to play. The idea of having to DPS to heal can be a little bit daunting and a little bit confusing, but for the most part, they have completely gotten rid of the button bloat. Say for instance, last time you played Disc Priest was Dragonflight Season 1, where there was just too much going on. There's very little button bloat, very simple to play. All you're doing really is you're playing around windows up your Mind Blast and your Void Weaver. Void Weaver's CD can be reduced right now just by spamming Smite, so it's really important as a Disc Priest that you are kind of holding your Void Weaver for big damage events, but also making sure that you're spamming Smite enough to get it back for the next big damage event. You can get punished for this on something like a high movement fight. A good one that comes to mind is the last boss of City of Threads. This one can be a little bit tricky sometimes, so normally you want to make sure that you're planning out CDs. It also has things like Barrier, and having 2 charges of Pain Suppression is going to be really important in high keys for living big hits. The only thing it's probably going to start struggling with is living itself as its own defensive kit. It's not that great. Its spot healing, of course, is also not that great, but having the double PS and the sack from the Prot Paladin definitely helps smooth a lot of that over. It also does make your routing and sometimes a little bit better, so something like Mind Soothe does enable quite a few skips if you aren't playing a rogue. There is a possibility for that 5th spot I was talking about that I was saying DK or Moonkin. That could also be rogue. Rogue is still looking really good, but if you don't have that, Priest does enable you to do quite a few skips. It also does some nice tech and things like Necrotic Wake with MCing mobs. And as for my experience, if you've been watching my stream, I've spent the past week after we killed Queen Ansarek, which I was doing that on my Evoker. Now I am gearing up my Priest instead of my Shaman since Priest is looking so good. I do think it is a lot more fun than Resto Shaman. The only thing I will say is that, and I say this a lot, is that I feel like a princess when I'm in a key. I literally have no control over kicks going off and things like that. All I'm doing is I'm just I can Shadow Meld one, and I can run it in Fear something every minute, and that's basically all you have to contribute. I do think Disc Priest is going to be really good in higher keys and coordinated groups. However, I think Resto Shaman is still going to be the much better choice if you are just pugging and doing keys without comms, because having the extra kicks and stops is going to help a lot more than having that little bit of extra throughput from the Priest. There's also talk of maybe still playing Resto Shaman in keys like Rimbatol, where having the extra kicks and stops does enable you to pull much bigger and save more time than maybe the little bit of extra DPS that you would get from a disc freeze. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that. It would be kind of cool to have a season where I would be switching characters depending on the key. I would actually really enjoy that. Anyways, let me know what you think below. I know I'm really looking forward to playing disc meta. This is going to be the first Mythic Plus season I've gotten to play where disc is going to be the meta, so I'm really happy about it. But yeah, let me know what you think below.